Hi there, it's Polly here, Mr. Snoot. It's me. And yes, I'm just doing some shameless plugs for my own books. So, I am a full-time author and game designer, and always have been. That's the only work I've ever done. And I would like to think that I'm pretty damn good at it after about 40 years of solid practice 24/7, 7 days a week. I've recently hooked up with a company called Perceptions Press, who are a Canadian publisher who are bringing out my books, and they're publishing a lot of my new books and republishing a lot of my old ones under my new name, which is fantastic. So the books that I write, they tend to be the sort of thing that my people would enjoy. So if you're a role-playing gamer or a war gamer, but particularly a role-playing gamer, you'll like my stuff because they're the sort of things that we like reading. These are often the setting that you wish your games were in, the role-playing campaign you wish you were playing. That's what I do. So I'm going to talk to you about Earthkin. Earthkin is a science fiction novel, and the idea was to do a science fiction adventure story that had a lot of elements of the great kind of classic 50s, 60s science fiction setting, but rolled over to science as we understand it now, where it's a way more complicated universe. And to also have it talk a little bit about the fact that you can't have mankind conquer space. Humanity doesn't go into space. Communities of diversity go into outer space. So it's a book about diversity. And so mankind can't really go and colonize another planet. We have to make an environment. And that means you don't take people, you take people. And sure, you take wheat and you take grass and you take potatoes. But that means that you take pollinating insects and you take the things that help the pollinating insects and you take the organisms that help foster those, and then you take the ones that help control those populations, and you have to take the other things that encourage the plants that help the populations of the other insects, and then there's the molds and the sponges, so there's actually a whole cosmos of beings that you have to take. One of the most important creatures out there, wackily enough, is what a lot of you guys would probably know as pillbugs or slater beetles. Roly-polies, which, they can basically eat a lot of chemically infected soil and basically strip out a lot of the toxins and essentially reclaim soil. This is a really important, terraforming insect. If you've got a place that's largely toxic, you are going to put down your first layers are going to be mold, slimes, and fungi, and then you're going to introduce things like your pill bugs, which will start reworking all the soils and taking the toxins out. So in a spaceflight kind of way, there are essentially symbiotic organisms that we take with us. They found, like in Chernobyl and so on, essentially fungi and so on that seem to actually intercept some radiation and thrive on it. So, these things are developed as essentially radiation shielding your environment on a spaceship. It can't just be tanks and the occasional chunk of lithium hydroxide. It's got to be water purification, which runs things through water plants and freshwater sponges and so on to clear out the toxins. You've got a purifying tank. You've got a garden on board, which helps with, that's what sweetens your air, which means you've got some creatures look after it. So these sorts of ideas, but it went into the people as well. So the idea was that there's a wide variety of essentially gene-modded people. Plain old human beings, which we're just calling them alpha model human beings. They don't actually survive well in space. Your kidneys shut down, for one thing. Space kills us. We can modify people so their kidneys don't shut down, but that's actually a genetic modification. So a lot of space-going places have been settled by people who've had some modifications, but then it's gone on to places where there's been more or less gravity, thinner or thicker atmospheres and so on. The locals have had some gene mods, and in this book, there was a previous iteration of our civilization which had much higher technology than in the book's era. And these guys Earth collapsed. Essentially, the environment just started folding under, so there was a huge exodus off the planet with lots of terraforming. But this culture became extremely skilled at doing this and developed very high technology for doing it, and began to look for more and stranger ways of essentially changing humanity into different forms to exploit some of the environments. But they began to splice in a lot of animal genes. So in this setting, for fun's sake as much as anything else, there are essentially humanoids with animal characteristics, and in some cases insects with humanoid characteristics, or so on. So we have a situation now where this big civilization fell. It splintered finally, destroyed itself in civil wars. And then what's happened is there's this successor kingdom period has arisen, where there are now many, many, many different small successor states who do tend to be at each other's throats, but their technologies have kind of withered down. They can't do a lot of the extraordinary things that the previous iteration of technology did. On the other hand, some other stuff has advanced, and of course, like any successor civilization, they're quite good at hitting each other. But our main characters run essentially a junker. It's a salvage vessel, and they go to places to look for salvage, sometimes dangerous places. You'll turn up at places that have been battlefields and so on, and scavenge for technology that they can resell. So you do have a female lead that's a coyote woman who is hilarious. Her engineers are a pair of gene-modded bees. Basically, they are giant bees. They're bees about a meter long, with computer vocalizers to translate their own words into spoken English. Because they're engineers, for some reason, they're given Scottish accents, because when they first investigated that, they were told that was traditional for engineers. You have another person on the crew who is essentially an artificial organism. They are a recovered computer-recorded persona that is now operating a drone. So you will see like a rather elegant female robot wandering the ship. Says that's the drone operated by a computer intelligence that's locked there into the ship, and she's a delight, and she's a big part of the plot. And later on we pick up a wonderful trans member of the crew, and she's a delight as well. But this is a political thriller, and it's a exploration tale. It's full of cool space stuff and glorious fights and lots of evildoers. But it is also a book about first contact, and I'm a world builder, and we played Traveller as kids and all through my adult years, but not Traveller as printed. It was always our own worlds, full of first contact and planet exploration scenarios done by groups of people who were basically all experts at xenobiology and ecology, and in my case kind of history, anthropology, these sorts of things. So and that's what this book is, because the one thing that has never been found in this culture is actual alien life forms. It's a desert out there. The best they found are microbial forms, but nothing like our planet. What we lost, we lost. But for the first time, someone actually encounters alien life forms, and so it's magical. It's just magical, but it's also at the delicate point. We have a choice. We could exploit it, or we could befriend it. Are we going to repeat this mistake that cost us Earth so many centuries before? So it's a lovely tale. It's full of love, it's full of light, it's full of adventure, it's full of action, it's full of exploration, it's full of wonder. A great space adventure, a rollicking space adventure. Really well done. Lots of surprises. I really liked this one. It was a great fun sci-fi. Again, it's the sci-fi campaign you wish you were playing in. It's great fun. So do take a look. It's out there on Perceptions Press. I'll put the links down below. But you can find it on Amazon, you can find it on Smashwords, you can ask your local bookstore to bring it in if you should wish. All these things are possible because it's out there with an actual publisher. Check it out. It really is a good fun tale. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And if you've ever played Traveller, if you've ever played, Star Frontiers or any of those games, you'll love it. You'll love it. So anyway, this is the cool stuff that I'm bringing out these days. Please do take a look. I think books are important. I think books are really an important part of the role-playing experience. Yeah, he agrees. Because novels and so on kind of give us that emotional journey feel, and that's what we're trying to get out into our games. A game is like an emotional landscape you want to create for players and bring them in and help them drift through stories that everyone comes out with a feeling. And good novels are a great way of establishing that. So anyway, that's me. Please take a look at the books, and we will see you with more shameless plugs later on. Cheers, bye.